This morning, you opened your eyes. You knew where you were. You knew who you were. You reached for your phone without thinking twice. But for a few seconds before that, your brain had no idea where you were, who you were, or what year it was. It made all of that up. Fast. And you never noticed. That gap has a name. Sleep inertia. It is the groggy, foggy window between sleeping and being fully awake. Most people assume it lasts a few seconds. The research says otherwise. Sleep scientist Kenneth Wright, who runs the Sleep and Chronobiology Lab at the University of Colorado Boulder, has shown that this fog can linger for over 30 minutes. During that time, your reaction speed, your judgment, and your short-term memory are all measurably worse than if you were drunk. Worse than legally drunk. And you spend it making decisions. Checking your phone. Deciding what to wear. Sometimes driving. Here is the strange part. You do not experience any of this as confusion. You experience it as certainty. Your brain does not hand you a blank slate and say figure it out. It hands you a fully formed sense of reality, instantly, and convinces you it was there all along. That is not memory. That is a guess dressed up as a fact. Why would your brain do that? Because uncertainty is expensive. A brain that pauses to double-check where it is, every single morning, is a brain that hesitates at the exact moment it might need to run. Somewhere in your evolutionary past, a half-asleep human who woke up to a sound in the dark did not have time to reboot slowly. It needed an answer immediately, even a wrong one, because a wrong answer delivered fast kept it alive more often than a right answer delivered late. Your brain never lost that habit. It still guesses first and checks later. Most mornings, nothing is chasing you. So nobody notices the guess. This is not the only place your brain fills in the blanks and never tells you. Cognitive psychologist Elizabeth Loftus spent decades studying human memory at the University of California, Irvine, and one of her most cited findings is almost uncomfortable to sit with. Memory is not a recording. It is a reconstruction. Every time you recall something, your brain does not play back a stored file. It rebuilds the moment from fragments, and it fills the gaps with whatever seems plausible. In her experiments, Loftus showed that people could be led to remember entire events that never happened. Getting lost in a mall as a child. Spilling punch at a wedding. Events invented by a researcher, adopted by the subject's own mind, and defended with genuine emotional conviction. Your brain is not lying to you the way a person lies. It is not hiding the truth on purpose. It genuinely does not know the difference between a real memory and a well-constructed guess. Neither, most of the time, do you. Think about that morning fog again. In those first disoriented seconds, your brain is essentially doing the same thing it does with an old memory. It has incomplete information. So it builds the most likely version of reality and presents it to you as settled. No warning label. No asterisk. Just certainty, delivered instantly, whether it is earned or not. Sleep researcher Matthew Walker, formerly of UC Berkeley, has described the sleeping and waking brain as running two very different operating systems that have to hand control off to each other with almost no warning. One moment you are deep in a slow-wave sleep state, disconnected from the outside world, brain activity moving in long, synchronized waves. The next moment, something wakes you. Light. Sound. An alarm. And your brain has to switch systems in an instant, without a clean transition, like jump-starting a cold engine and expecting it to drive smoothly right away. It cannot. So it fakes smoothness instead. It hands you the illusion of continuity while the actual machinery is still catching up underneath. Have you ever answered a question right after waking, and only realized minutes later that your answer made no sense? That is the fake smoothness breaking down in real time. For a moment, you trusted a version of reality your brain had not actually verified yet. This raises an uncomfortable question. If your brain is willing to invent your sense of place and time every single morning, and willing to invent entire memories under the right conditions, how much of what feels obviously true to you, right now, is actually a reconstruction you have simply never questioned? Most of your waking life does not feel like a guess. It feels solid, fixed, obviously real. But the sense of solidity is not evidence that something is accurate. It is just a feeling your brain generates, the same way it generates the feeling that you know exactly where you were 3 seconds after waking up. Confidence and accuracy are produced by different systems in your brain, and they are not nearly as connected as they feel. You can be completely wrong and completely convinced at the same time. In fact, that combination is not rare. It might be your brain's default setting. There is a reason this matters beyond mornings and old memories. Eyewitness testimony, one of the most trusted forms of evidence in courtrooms for most of modern history, relies entirely on the assumption that a confident memory is an accurate one. Loftus's research, along with decades of work that followed it, helped expose how often that assumption fails. People misidentify strangers. They remember events with vivid, specific detail that turns out to be partially or entirely wrong. Not because they are lying. Because their brain did exactly what it does every morning when you wake up. It filled a gap with something plausible, so consider your own morning tomorrow. The moment your eyes open, before you have checked a clock, before you have looked at a single familiar object, your brain will already have decided where you are, who you are, and roughly what is about to happen. And somewhere between the dark of sleep and the light of a fully awake mind, for a few seconds you will never remember, your brain will lie to you, because certainty, even invented certainty, was more useful to your ancestors than the truth arriving a few seconds too late. Tonight, when you close your eyes, you will not know it is happening. Tomorrow morning, you will open them again. You will know exactly where you are, and for a few seconds, your brain will have made all of that up.